Jordan, how are we, sir? Evening all, just back from holiday. Missed you, Craig. Well, you know, I'm very jealous, mate. I hope you had a lovely holiday. Was hoping when I got back, Isak would be done. The longer it goes, the more uncertain I get. Well, let's talk about Isak. Early doors here then. So, this situation has taken a bit of an interesting twist, shall we say. Now, I'm not sure if everybody else is aware of this. I'm sure a lot of you probably are. But Ben Jacobs posted something very, very interesting a little bit earlier on this evening. And let me read out to you what he had to say. Johan Visa has unfollowed Brentford, changed his profile picture to black and removed all club photos from his Instagram account as he looks to leave the club. Visa's move to Newcastle is currently being blocked by Brentford, as exclusively revealed earlier with Alex Crook. The 28-year-old is unhappy. Brentford won't now engage over a sale unless a 60, yes that's right, you heard me, £60 million valuation is met, despite informing Visa a few weeks ago they would entertain a sale. Visa was also told a year ago he could leave for £26 million after committing to last season following Ivan Toney's departure to Al Hilal. Brentford insist Dango Ouattara is a Brian Mbeumo replacement and not a Johan Visa one. So, what do we think there, ladies and gents? Are we looking forward to the media and the public and all opposition club fans starting to have the same energy towards the Visa situation that they've had with the Isak situation? Or will we all just admit that they're all hypocrites and they have a different energy for Liverpool? I don't remember so much vitriol around Gyökeres downing tools before he moved to Arsenal. That didn't get the same attention. Visa's antics here, again, not going to probably garner the same attention in the media that we're getting around Isak. So I guess where we are with Isak is where we were, unsure. You know, Newcastle, and I said this yesterday, but again, just an opinion, I never thought that if they got in Visa, that was going to be enough for them, because to me, he was the Callum Wilson replacement. But the part I find really interesting about this is the valuation. So let's remember here, they're asking for 60 million quid, Brentford. Now, go back to look at what was Newcastle's opening bid that was rejected. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was around £25 million. I think. Maybe 30, but it was in and around that. So now we're in a situation where somehow a player who was told he could leave for £26 million is now being priced at £60 million. So my question is, even if Newcastle relented and paid Brentford what they're asking for, 60 million quid, would that give them the PSR wiggle room or manoeuvrability to sell Isak without bringing in another forward? I don't know. So I'm confused on what's going on here. It seems like more barriers are coming in front of us in our pursuit of Isak. And this is what had me a little bit concerned, because I've no doubt Liverpool are ready. Liverpool have an offer prepared. I've no doubt it's a huge offer. I've no doubt the club want to sign Isak. But you get worried when you're at the behest of other clubs in their business. So I'm unsure what's going to happen. I think we get Isak. I hope we get Isak. But one thing came up on the podcast when we recorded it earlier, and it worried me. And it was Chris saying something along the lines of, I think Liverpool will wait for Isak like we did for Virgil van Dijk. And I understand where he's coming from, I do, and there's every chance we could do that. But we are up shit creek if we don't get in another forward. Let's make no mistake about that. We cannot go into the first half of the season or the whole season with just having Salah, Doak, Ekitike, Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike, Chiesa at a push, and we still don't know for certain he's staying, and Rio Engamoa. That's not enough. That is nowhere near enough. So what happens? Truth is, I don't know, but I'm getting nervier as each day goes by. The centre-back situation I'm a little bit more relaxed about now, because we obviously got in Leone, so that is an extra body and we needed that. Yes, I want to see what happens with Mark Gay and Ibrahim Konate, but this situation with Isak, I mean, the club must be fairly confident, because at what stage do you break glass in case of emergency and go after whatever plan B might look like? Because I haven't got a Scooby-Doo what plan B might look like. So a little bit nervy about it. Jordan. So a bit of a long-winded answer there for you, man. Welcome back from holidays. Smokey said, Craig, what about if we play Newcastle for Isak, winner keeps them? No, I'm not having that as well, mate, because they'll find a way to screw us with VAR somehow. So, no, if I can referee the match, deal. But if I can't referee, or at least if I'm not on VAR, No deal. Said, Craig, you've said all along that Isak is 99%, and I said you were leading people up the garden path for sticks. Start using reputable sources. So, John, my friend, I never once, ever, 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 ever said what you said I've said. So, I'm not leading anybody up the garden path, and I know you're trying to bait me, but it is an interesting point, so I'm going to just make it anyway. I have said, and you can go and watch any video you want, I have said every single time that it is all dependent on Newcastle finding a replacement. And that is not even up for debate. So I don't have better sources, worse sources. I report what the journalists write. That is the whole context of this show. If some people like yourself, mate, are either just trying to undermine me or you're too stupid to understand the difference, that's not on me, dude. I know what I've said. And I've said over and over again that 99.99, that part is correct, but you're leaving out the big caveat, which is if Newcastle sign a replacement. So you're not fooling anybody, John. Just say you don't like me and you want to come in to try and undermine the channel, because that's all you're doing, dickhead. And that's it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't wash for me if we don't get a forward star girl at this point, because we've left ourselves short now. Today, the club confirmed the sale of Ben Doak, and let's talk a little bit about this. Liverpool confirmed the sale, £25 million of Ben Doak to Bournemouth. It does include a buyback option for Liverpool. He joined us from Celtic in 2022 for 600 grand. So in that time, with a handful of appearances and a few loans, Liverpool have now got £25 million for Ben Doak. So good business, but it's also another option for Arnold that has been removed. Speaking after his move to Bournemouth, Ben Doak said this: I'm buzzing to be here, feel like it's the right time for me, and it's a great opportunity to play regular football at the highest level. It feels like the perfect fit. The team play very nice football, it's fast and it really suits my game, so I felt like I couldn't say no for the chance to come and play here. So sincerely wish Ben Doak the very best on his move, and if we do trigger that release clause in the future, it'll be because, you know, he's done something really good and Liverpool see a reason to do it. So yeah, interesting one. Nathan said, hey Craig, if we don't get Isak, would we get another striker or would it just wait until January? So Chris seemed to think we'd wait when we discussed this on the podcast earlier on. I don't think we can wait. I really don't think we can. You know, for me as a fan, putting aside all the emotion and everything else around the situation, I just can't see a world where we've enough bodies to go into the season without having another attacking option, a good, top-notch attacking option. If we don't get Isak, who would you want? Oh, Kelsey, at this point, I don't see an option. Yeah, at this point, maybe I'm wrong in it. I just don't see an option. I don't see somebody out there who we could get and we would go, yeah. I mean, people will say Rodrigo, and I understand that. You know, he's certainly of the calibre we'd be talking about, but it would be a very different player, wouldn't it, to a centre forward? And if we're talking only centre forwards, unless you could somehow convince Julian Alvarez to change his mind about coming back to the UK, I can't think of one. Not one that I'd be happy with anyway.